Sam has the Drash today.
I do.
Very good.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom.
So this is a action-packed parsha. It's the stuff Hollywood movies are made of, right? You got family drama. You've got a power grab. You've got the earth opening up. I mean, what an ending. A plague, you know. So yeah, let's not forget the supernatural sprouting of Aaron's staff. I think that's pretty, like actual almonds. How are you going to fake that in the desert? So let's dissect a few pieces of it. Let's talk about the sons of Kahat. The last time we heard about the sons of Kahat, of the tribe of Levi, Adonai was giving them instructions, right? And they were responsible for when the tabernacle was moved. They would take care of the especially holy things, like the things of the sanctuary, including the golden altar. Pretty big job, you know, not just the tent poles, right? The altar, pretty important stuff here that they're responsible for. Yep, that's the sons of God. And all the holy things that are involved in the service, right? It is worth noting, though, that the sons of Kahat, unlike the sons of Gershon and Merari, they didn't get a cart and a donkey. I just learned that, all the other guys, the other two clans, they got a cart and a donkey to help them haul everything. But the sons of Kahat, they got the especially holy things, right? But they had to carry them, in their arms. So yeah. And they got to carry the especially holy things, but they couldn't touch them, right? They couldn't go near the Holy Holies, and they couldn't touch the stuff, because what was going to happen if they did? They were going to die. Yeah. So not like, ooh, you're in timeout. No, you're going to die if you touch them. So you can't touch them. But the Kohanim could touch them, right? So now let's talk about Korach a little bit. Who is Korach? I have a little thing that you can put up here. Korach, if you look down here at the bottom, you see Amram, the son of Kahat, but Kohath here. So Aaron, Miriam, and Moses are first cousins with Korach. Family drama. You ever been compared to your cousins? I hope not. That's a terrible thing to do to people. So yeah, they're first cousins, right? So they're really close to the top job. Really close. But yet so far. Let us also remember a few chapters ago. Thanks for the visual, guys. Let us remember a few chapters ago, they all just found out that they're not going to the promised land, right? So Korach doesn't have the top job, and now he's not going to the promised land. Well, he was part of the generation that would die in the wilderness. So he's relegated to a servanthood role in the temple, or in the tabernacle, for which he can't even touch the things that he has to carry or he'll die. He doesn't get a cart to help carry them like his cousin clans do. And he's not getting into the promised land. Of course, Korach was not alone in his attempted coup. Some members of the tribe of Reuben hopped on board. And, let's remember Reuben was the firstborn of Jacob, right? And traditionally, the firstborn get a lot of good stuff, right? But Reuben didn't. So I can only imagine that there might be some sore feelings, generationally speaking, about the reasons that they didn't inherit the firstborn rights that traditionally would have been theirs. It's also very interesting to note, and I think we learned this in Unrolling the Scroll or maybe in Shadows, that the sons of Kahat, would you put up the next thing? The sons of Kahat and the tribe of Reuben are camped really close together. So if you see on the south side here, the Kohathites, I think is how you say that, and then look, Reuben is right there. So they're all hanging out together. They didn't have to walk all the way across, like to the tribe of Dan, all the way around. Nope, they're hanging out on the south side together. So, let's remember, kids, you are who you hang with, right? The people who, it's just true. You're either influencing people or they're influencing you. So you got disgruntled Korach, and maybe you obviously have 3 disgruntled head Reubenites, and 250 join, and voila, we have an insurrection. But when we boil down all that's happening here, what's at work, we really have the sin of pride, which we're all can fall into, I think I listened to a sermon on pride once, and I went, I don't really think I have too much of a problem with that. And then I realized later, I just had a problem with that. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, a little more humble. So when we, if you think about it, pride could even be the original sin, right? So let's think about even, before creation, Lucifer thought he was as great as God, right? That's pride, right? He convinced 1/3 of the heavenly host to join him, right? We all know how that turned out. We look at the garden. What is he, the enemy is now in the garden, and he's talking to Eve, right? And what's he going? See, God doesn't want you to eat that because you'll be like him, Like, oh, I want to be like God. I could be like God, There's pride in the garden. Obviously, pride is a big trip up for us humans. The Bible is loaded with stories. We kind of talked about this at Shabbat dinner last night, like, let's name all the instances of pride in the Bible. And we had to stop after a while because, it's bath time and clean up. So if you think about Saul and the Amalekites, he didn't kill the king because, hey, look what I did. I got the king of the Amalekites, right? That didn't turn out very well. David and Bathsheba, like, I know you could talk about that being lust, but he had enough pride, like, I'm the king. I'll take care of this problem. That didn't work out very well. Moses, sister of Miriam, she got stricken with biblical leprosy over it, right? Even the disciples of Yeshua argued which one was the best, right? So, we're no better than any of them. And I would submit Moses, even being the humblest of men, even struggled with pride momentarily when he struck the rock instead of speaking to it. It kind of slipped down on him, and that lapse cost him the entrance to the promised land. And he is a super humble person. As we see in this Parsha, he and Aaron, they fall on their face for, to help save the people who are trying to rebel against them, right? So Moses is also a good example of how to combat our pride, and that is with humility. Pride and humility cannot coexist. Personally, I'm very proud of my humility, and I talk about it often. So see, that just doesn't work. You can't be both, right? Humility is knowing your place with God and being thankful. Not just content, but thankful to be there wherever God has placed you. Humility is something that for most of us, and I will confess for me, it has to be exercised and cultivated. I heard it put once that humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking about yourself less, which I thought was an interesting distinction. A lot of times we think like, oh, well, I'm just whatever. It's like, no, you just don't think about yourself. You think about other people more than you think about yourself. It's letting somebody else have the bigger piece of cake, always, so to speak. It's choosing to let God fight your battles, like Moses did with Korach in his rebellion. it goes a step further than the vahavta. You know, it's loving your neighbor better than yourself. To cultivate the soil of humility, to cultivate the soil for humility to grow, thankfulness is a necessary ingredient. And not just thankful for all the things that we like and appreciate and are really easy to be thankful for, like thank you, God, for my house, and thank you for my car, and thank you, you know. But also thankful for everything that God puts in our path, because trusting him with our lives and the lives of those we love may be the ultimate humility. This kind of humility lets us see God for the loving and trustworthy God he is, even when bad things happen in this fallen world. Instead of fighting his plan like Korach, we are more able to see his perfect plan unfold. Shabbat shalom.